Three, two, here we are. Um, Clarence, to clarify.
Not Clarice.
um, so sorry for that, but
Oh, that's fine.
I'm glad we got that out of the way. We are on what is labeled the LARRAPY podcast, where we talk about love, life, and spirituality, and just ask specific questions as it relates to those things. But to get going, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you, and um, what do you do, or what is your current passion right now? And the third question is what season are you in your life?
First question. My name is Clarence Hudson. I was born in Oklahoma, 1950. My season of life is I'm 75 years old, so I guess you could say I'm in my final season of life. My passion right now is I just wrote a book called Making Your Life Worth It. And so I'm working with that. My other passion in life is golf. I love golf. And I was recently married. So that's another passion of my life. So I have a grandson that's 11, and my other daughter's having a grandchild in January. So I'm excited about that. Lots of things going on, Larry.
Yeah. Tell me about the book a little bit. This sounds interesting. What is it about?
The book is about making your life worth it. I believe deep down in my heart that people who are committed, people who are accountable to themselves, can do anything they want to do in life. And one of the things about my book is that, and the reason I wanted to write it is that I'm an ordinary human being. And God must have loved ordinary people because he made so many of us. And every day, ordinary people do extraordinary things. Yeah. And I got lucky in my life when I was born in the middle of Jim Crow, drank from a colored water fountain, went to segregated schools, had a one-room schoolhouse where one teacher taught first, second, third, fourth, and sixth grade. When I was a sophomore in high school, I could not read. And then I made up my mind that I wasn't going to be a failure. And from that moment, I went to a college in a sundown town. I've been the first teacher of a minority in 3 different schools. I was the only coach at 3 different universities. And in 1983, I became the offensive coordinator at the University of Minnesota. Now, I can't say if I was the only and the first in all of college football, but I know I was the first in the Big Ten. And if there was any other in the country, there was one maybe at Wichita State and maybe at Northwestern. At the right little age of 33. And that's, Larry, from segregation, Jim Crow, to where I was standing in the Metrodome in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1983, running the offense for the Gophers.
Wow.
Now, that leap came in a short time. The Civil Rights Act was signed in 1964. And this is 1983. So that's 20 years.
Yeah.
That happened. And so when I hear and see people talk today about how difficult it is, it doesn't ring true to me.
It doesn't ring true to you.
It's not as difficult as people say. Now, it may be difficult, but man, let me tell you, and here's the other thing. From my little town that I was born and raised in, a little town called Madill, Oklahoma, we had from Oil Mill Hill where they shuffled us across the tracks.
Yeah.
We've got doctors, medics, we had a millionaire, we've had an IT professional that really got Boeing off the ground and on its feet. I mean, from that little town and that little neighborhood, there were some really great things that came out of there because of determination, commitment, and accountability.
Yeah,
that's what.
Now, when we talk about your book, your book is it dealing with the overall how to overcome adversity?
Yes.
Through sort of like, addressing your resiliency. Like, give me an overall synopsis that
The
again.
overall synopsis is, look, people are willing to help you if you meet people halfway. If you're willing to meet people halfway, if you have a dream and you share that dream with people, no, I've really in my journey, Larry, I never met anyone that wanted me to fail.
Mm.
Everybody I met, Larry, wanted me to succeed. And it was just a matter of grasping the rope and helping and pulling myself along and saying, hey, I'm in. What do I need to do and how do I need to do it and where do I need to go to make it happen?
Does that mean that even throughout the era in which you sort of, excelled in, does that mean you've never experienced any form of racism or setback as far as institutional, you know,
I was
um,
born, when you talk about racism, remember now I was born in the middle of Jim Crow. I mean, I mean, from 1950, when they took the colored water fountain signs down in 1964 in Madill, Oklahoma. I was 14 years old. We couldn't go into a restaurant. We couldn't go into a clothing store. We rode at the back of the bus. We sat at the back of the classroom. So yeah, I've experienced segregation in my work life. Did I ever run across a situation where somebody said, well, we don't want to help you because you're a minority or because you're Black? No, I have not. When I went to work at Atoka High School, Altus High School, Amarillo, Texas, Tascosa High School, which, by the way, when I went to work at Amarillo, Tascosa High School, our mascot was General Robert E. Lee. And we played Dixie on the sidelines.
wow.
So, I mean, no, and not a soul. When I left Amarillo, Texas in 1975, the principal, the superintendent of schools, because I taught there and I coached football, they didn't want me to leave. They did not want me to leave.
Hmm.
You got to stay, you got to stay, you got to stay. I was working there with another gentleman who was in the same situation I was in, but at another school. It was the same way. But no, and even in my coaching world, when I was at Minnesota and Iowa State and Wichita State University, in the business world, when I worked at Ruan or Solar Transport, I worked for a German company called Rudd Chain. I got an airplane, traveled to Germany. No one stepped in the way and said, no, we don't want him to go. Or, no, we want him to do that. No, you can't do that. No, everybody said, come, let's go. What can you do? Let's make sure that this works. We work together very, very well in all those cases.
In that time and era, did it make you the rule or the exception to the rule?
Oh, I'm definitely not an exception. We just don't know about the rest of them. I am not
Okay.
an exception. There are millions of me out there. And the reason I want to write the book, An Ordinary Man, never been rich. I've never been dirt poor and broke, except growing up. But I mean, so I wanted an ordinary man who had lived an ordinary life, who raised three wonderful, beautiful kids, who I've owned several houses, who retired from the work world. I'm on Social Security and I'm on a little small pension. I'm not anything special, but there's so many of us out there that nobody ever hears from. And so I just want to write the book to say, look, this can be done. And
Yeah.
you may not become Michael Jordan or Elon Musk or a wealthy rap singer, but you can have a great life in this country without any problems whatsoever.
You clearly have a certain level of reverence, respect, and even a positive disposition towards even the fragility and the imperfections of the diaspora, whatever experience you want to call this, the Afrocentric diaspora, and in its relationship with the institution, the forces around us.
I've seen it all. I've been to 49 states. I've been to 7 foreign countries. I've been to every capital city. I've been south, north, east, and west in this country. I walked through probably more high schools in this country than most people you know. I've been in corporate offices from California to New York, Massachusetts, Florida. I've made presentations to CEOs Fortune 500 companies. I've walked in the alleyways and in the back door of many companies throughout the nation, also in my in my jobs. So I've been through the back door and the front door. I remember standing in Tupelo, Mississippi at a conference in probably 1996. And of course, when I was going, oh my God, I'm going to Tupelo, Mississippi, and down in the heart. And it
Right.
got there, yeah, he's just fine. Left there with a contract. So no, I've met people at their level, whether
Okay.
they were a truck driver, whether they were assistant coach, whether they were equipment people. I've met people at different levels, whether they were the head coach. I mean, I've shook hands with Bear Bryant, Barry Switzer, Tom Osborne. I've stood on a tee box with President Bush, Herbert Walker, not the junior. But I mean, and again, Larry, I'm an ordinary man. I had nothing special about me at all.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe racism exists?
Of course it does. Does
it hold us back?
There are races out there.
Yeah. Does that hold us back? More specifically, does that hold us back at all?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Why?
I didn't hear you.
Oh, why? Oh, sorry. You probably can't even see my facial expression. This you try to play back and forth with this crazy. Why don't you think it? Why don't you think it holds us back?
The only thing that holds, well, I won't say that because I'll be talking for a lot of people that I don't know. But I don't think it does because this is America. And you can do and be whatever you want to become. You're a Dr. Larry Johnson, right?
Close enough. Larry Jackson.
Jackson, I'm sorry. Dr. Larry Jackson. I mean, you had challenges and obstacles to overcome to become a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. I got my master's degree, but I appreciate the title. But I get what you're saying. I've got my credentials. You know, I'm a mental health counselor. But you know, I've experienced institutional racism that I couldn't directly point out. My peers excelled. I remember distinctly throughout my career, working closely beside my peers and them excelling because they had a skin advantage over me. Whereas when they got closer to their goals, and it took me 10 years longer. You know, I have my brutal story a little bit. Now, do I think I'm the rule? No, I don't consider myself the brightest thumb in the world. Maybe some things I did to help myself back. But I do think that people with the same amount of intelligence as I and made the same amount of mistakes as I still were able to cross thresholds without as much difficulty because of the skin color.
I am not going to argue that point. Yes, that's probably true. The majority in America, the majority in any country in the world has an advantage. If you have the power, you got the advantage. There's no doubt about that. Power brings along with it advantage. But in other countries, that power says we're going to not allow you to even have a modicum of success. In America, that power says you fight hard enough, you struggle and get done what you need to get done. You make your life worth it. You can have success in America. Yes, okay. You didn't get to where you wanted to go 10 years longer, but you got there.
Yeah.
And that's the struggle. But that's the struggle. Some people get there faster. And I think today, with the way the world is today, you can get there twice as fast today as you did. And you got to where you are a heck of a lot faster than I did.
Right. I agree.
Because of where the world is moving. And there's no way. Yeah, the past, it's there. What happened, I mean, it's egregious. It's horrible. My first job out of college, I taught Black history. That was in 1972. I taught Black history in 1972 to a bunch of kids in Atoka, Oklahoma.
Wow.
So I studied it hard. I went deep. I'm a history major out of college. I have a master's degree in psychology, by the way.
Oh my! I'm as you're talking, I'm beginning to shrink just a little bit more.
No,
This
don't
conversation.
speak, man. But I'm just telling you that I went deep and I studied and I looked and I have continued to do that throughout my career.
Yeah,
And it just makes you sad and it's you look at the inhumanity of man to man and you can't believe some of the stuff that was done. You can't believe people, human beings created by God, our creator, can do some of the things they did to other human beings.
right.
Then I look at Putin in Russia bombing other Russians today indiscriminately and just killing men, women, and children in Russia with bombs. Now, Ukraine, you say Ukraine, but Ukrainians and Russians, I couldn't tell them the difference. They're standing right in front of me.
Mhm.
I mean, if they were right now today, if I were the Ukrainian and a Russian standing right in front of me today, I wouldn't know the difference between the two.
Right,
But they're killing each other like crazy
right,
without any thoughts at all. And
right.
it's like, what? Yeah, the world is crazy. It's messed up. It's we have free will given us by God,
Yeah.
and you just don't understand how things could have happened and how they could have done these things, but they did. Could it happen again? I doubt it seriously. If that kind of degradation and horribleness can ever be perpetrated on a human species again, but I'm not sure. So, what we have in America is we have a system of government that fights for us that don't have that privilege. We have a system that, if used properly,
Hmm.
and we take advantage of the opportunities that there are, it's unlimited. Our opportunity is unlimited. There's no way that our opportunities are unlimited. Can you become a CEO of a major corporation? Yes. Can you
Hmm.
create and develop your own company? Yes. There are jillions of things out there available for us.
Yeah, I think every time I think about this topic, um, I always think there's always say it two different ways in my head. I always say it as if I was giving advice to someone outside of the community, and or as compared to some giving advice to a young man, one on one. I
Mhm.
think I'd give two different answers as it relates to the narrative of the Afrocentric type of um, fight for success. Um, to the outside community, I start talking about the universal statistics, right? I'd be dealing with the idea that overall there's still a disparity, regardless of the individuality, otherwise, regardless of the individual opportunities that are present. To that man, to a young man, one on one, I'd probably be talking exactly like you're talking right now. I would tell him to ignore the statistics and I would be talking about all the opportunities. But if I was to have a conversation outside of that one-on-one conversation, I'd be going straight to the statistics. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'd be telling individuals this is the way the herd is going as it relates to institutional racism. How do we change that narrative? Is that a fair argument?
Okay, so for instance, I saw a statistic the other day, some data, and I do a lot of research and I read and I look around at things and I want to know why it happened. Okay, just take for instance the wage gap or the wealth gap.
Mhm.
Okay, and this was something I didn't know and I hadn't thought about, but I read this the other day and I thought, oh, that makes sense. Let's look at most wealth or a lot of wealth for ordinary people like myself, maybe you, comes in home ownership,
Mhm.
right? You buy a small house, you live in that small house, sell it, buy a bigger house, you sell it, buy a bigger house. When you
Right.
when you pass, you give it to your kids, whatever, and that wealth becomes hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, they came up with this idea to build multiple dwelling homes, and they built high-rise government apartments, and they tore up black neighborhoods where there were small homes, but they were
Mhm.
owned. They
Mhm.
were theirs. They could have improved them. They could have fixed them. They could have sold them. They could have
Mhm.
done different things with them.
Mhm.
But this is years and years and years ago. They built these high-rise apartments. They shuffled people in there. They tore up these black neighborhoods, and the folks had no ownership,
Okay.
none whatsoever. Now, that little house may have been a $50,000 house in 1955 or 1960 or 1970. But by 1980, that house would have been $75,000 house.
Mhm.
Neighborhood's clean. The neighborhood was fine. House could have gained some wealth.
Right.
But now, 48% of public housing is minority families. Those
Okay.
48% will never gain wealth. They will never own a home. They're living in these government subsidized housing that where they cannot earn anything off of whatever portion of that rent they're paying.
Right.
So sometimes those type things, which are we're going to do something really good, we're going to tear up the neighborhood, we're going to build these nice fancy homes, and
Mhm.
we're going to let people live there at subsidized rent because they need us. Well, sometimes that just doesn't work. I mean, when I was growing up, we had a little shanty. We had the pigsty was next to the one wall of the pig pen was our dining room. We had a chicken coop. We had a smokehouse. We had an old raggedy garden where we grew corn and peas. I
Right.
mean, I had to carry water from Mrs. Jessie May's house about 4 blocks up the street. But eventually, that place gained some equity. We sold it, put a down payment down on another house. And in 1964, we built a brand new house on All Mill Hill.
Mhm.
Because and from that house, 20 years later, mom sold it for 3 times what she bought it for, what she built it for.
Right.
So that gaining of wealth, that wealth gap is created not only by lack of opportunity, but also by some decisions that are made that some people think are helpful, and they really become very hurtful.
Yeah, but I mean, then you got red. What do you call it? Red. I mean,
But
there's the
the
existence
redlining,
of.
but the redlining was not the problem.
Okay.
The problem was the tearing down of the home. The, the redlining was not the problem. If you, I've been to some black neighborhoods when I traveled, and like I said, I've been to 49 states, and I've been in a lot of different areas, and I've been to some really nice, beautiful areas where my minority homes and they were very, very beautiful. So you can redline and say, but you can create a neighborhood that's beautiful. And look at today. I mean, they redline, but what are the gentrification? They're trying to come back in and buy all those places back. So I
Right.
mean, it just the worm turns. In a capitalist system, you cannot dictate. In a capitalist system, you cannot dictate winners and losers.
Yeah. No,
You
I
may
agree.
try,
Yeah.
you may try, but it will come around to bite you in the end because capitalism rewards those who play by the rules, who
Mhm.
hone their skills, and who overcome those obstacles that they think are preventing them from getting anything done.
I agree. That's now you got to keep in mind. Me personally, I'm having two different conversations when I see the narrative. To oh, to a one-on-one
Yeah.
between me and my brethren, between behind closed doors. I'm saying you got to outthink the situation here. This is not holding you back. I'm saying they're talking exactly how you're talking. I'm saying, look, yeah, they redline it, but there's other opportunities. Where one door closes, another door opens. I'm saying all that rhetoric there. I understand and believe it. Now, if I talk it, now once I step outside those doors and talk to the general population, I'm saying the herd is negligent or ignorant of these possibilities, and this is what's happening. Is that when these doors are closing, they are not naturally, instinctively creating opportunities for themselves. What they're doing is, for whatever reason, they are not buying more homes. They are not taking the closed door as an opportunity somewhere else. They are in fact getting entrapped in rental versus home ownership. Is that a fair argument?
Yes, it is. And one of the things that I'm afraid that's happening is that there's this sense of I can't do it because there's this sense of
right.
Well, there's this barrier out there. There's this that our young people are being taught that it's hard and
I agree.
don't try.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
going, life is hard and it's not fair. And okay, fine. But for me, when someone says you can't, to me, that lights a fire. And it says, why can't I? Why can't I be this? Why can't I? I mean, what do I need to do to prove you wrong? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Because let me tell you something. Okay, you're bigger, stronger, and you tell me I can't win the fight.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when it's over, you're gonna know you've been in the fight. I may not have won, but let me tell you something. You're gonna know you've been in the fight because let me tell you something. I'm bringing all I got. I'm not bringing half. I'm not bringing 3/4. I'm bringing all I got. And so I'll tell you a story here. And you mentioned this earlier, but when I came to work for the third largest logistics company in America in 1984, and I left another profession, came into this profession, didn't know anything about it. I had nothing about logistics or transportation at all. I knew nothing about trucks. And I was hired by the president of the company, and I was interviewed by a vice president of sales sitting at a Denny's on Euclid Avenue in Des Moines, Iowa.
Get out of here. I'm in Des Moines. Go ahead.
And so I'm sitting at the table with him, and he's across the table with me. And here was his question to me. What makes you think you can make it in a white man's world? Now, what do you think that did to me? You think it hurt me? No. You think I thought, oh my God, I can't make it because there's going to be a lot of racism? No. I said, man, are you crazy? And my basic response to him was, when did this become a white man's world? That was in 1984, and I was a rental manager trainee. In 1991, I was named one of 6 vice presidents of the company. And he was no longer with Ruan. So, yes, there are going to be idiots out there. There are going to be people, but that was 1984. Let me tell you something. Looking out at the transportation world in 1984, but let me tell you something. To try to find somebody with a little hue in any role was scarce. There was not many of us. I would go to conventions and trade shows in 1991, 92, 93, and that'd be 1,000 people at the trade show. And I'd be the only one.
Yeah.
That's in California, Washington, D.C., New York, Atlanta, New Orleans. I mean, yeah. Now, here's what happened. And I'm not saying anything, but as the years went by, boom, 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 more and more and more and more. And my last role is the vice president of sales for a major company here in Des Moines. Go over to a convention in Indianapolis. Half the people were minorities. Half. A good friend of mine, Mr. Hightower, whose father started a company, he took it over. He also just wrote a book about how to be successful and how to not give up, and how when you get in trouble and you have obstacles, you have barriers in front of you, overcome them. He runs one of the largest wholesale fuel companies in the Midwest. I mean, and his dad started the company, had to, back in the 60s as well. So,
yeah, I'm in full agreement with your narrative. with regards to on an individual level, right? I'm talking to a young man one-on-one. I'm
Yes.
talking exactly how you're talking. But if I get into a bigger room and I start talking about what the herd, what the African Americans are doing as a whole, I'm going from individualistic to, I don't know what you would call it. Whereas when that person on the other side, who may be of a different race or background, says they're not achieving things because they're lazy, I'm going to say, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not that they're lazy. It's that the institution is affecting the herd, and this is how the herd is responding. Is that you get where I'm going with that?
I hear you, but here's my question.
Okay.
Is what fool on the other side would make that statement today?
Oh, there's plenty of fools on the other side. I mean, that's the
There's
whole.
plenty of fools on the other side, but there's nobody going to make that statement.
Of course they are.
May think it.
The basis of conservative institution is based off of self-determination. But self-determination on a universal level, not on an individual. I believe in self-determination on an individual level. But when we're addressing problems on a universal, holistic level, as it relates to how is this affecting the population and how are they responding to it, I think there's different types of metrics and a different approach. Congress. And I'm not Democrat or conservative, by the way. I don't play politics, but I just think, as a matter of fact, I'm probably more conservative one-on-one, and I'm probably more liberal when I talk about the overall effects of population. I would probably argue that I probably side like that. It is, well, I get that we're supposed to be this way, but this is how the people are responding to what's in front of them. There must be more going on than just their own lack of self-determination. You know what I mean? But moreover, the people that are having those conversations are the people that are in office right now. You know, what do you say to that?
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I've seen a lot in my 75 years. I watched change occur, and it changed rapidly. I mean, it just happened so fast. I think it was the 1960. You could count the number of Black doctors and lawyers and on your hands. 98% of Black women either worked in some type of domestic roles. By 1975, that all had disappeared. It was gone. College graduation had went way up. You know, we have over, 11 billionaires from the Black community here in the country today, and over 1 million, somehow 1,000 millionaires. The progress in what has happened since 1865 has to be one of the greatest movements from absolute zero to being what they say, the 15th largest country in the world, revenue-wise, the Black population in America.
Okay.
I mean, if you took all the money and revenue and everything, we'd be the 15th largest country in the world.
Oh yes, especially buying power. Yeah.
But that move from literally 1864, when 4 million people didn't own their own life, to 1984, when there's this great, huge movement from poverty into middle class, into wealth. It's tremendous. This is something we should be heralded as one of the greatest positives about America. Now, are there still negatives? Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it
didn't happen in India with the untouchables. It didn't happen in Iraq with the Shiites and the Basque and the other group over there. I mean, the people that are held down in other countries are still held down. And they're still in the same position they were 100 years ago.
Yes.
Not in America.
Yes.
Today, we made that move, and it's so fast, and it's so great, and it's so wonderful. It should be heralded as one of the greatest accomplishments of a people in the history of the world.
It sounds good. Man, boy, what you just said sounds great. In isolation.
Oh,
In isolation.
only in America, my friend.
It's only it's only when we compare generational wealth and generational opportunity to the whiter population that we see how much of a disparity actually there is. Would you
But
not agree?
there's going to be disparity. The power, the people that hold the power is always going to hold the make. You're not going to change that. Not
Okay.
unless the only way you change that is you reverse the power.
Yes. I'm only.
That's
I
the
guess
only
I'm
way
only
you
speaking.
change that.
Yeah. I'm only speaking of it. I think one of the concepts that that's missing in this conversation that needs to be talked about is what I kid you not. I'm going to write a book on it. Social competition. From a competitive standpoint, it's not enough. But from a cooperative standpoint, it's very much enough, right? We've gotten our fill. We're okay with it. But if we're talking about social competition, which is part of the capitalistic ideology, right? Then the question is not how much we're getting, but are we getting it in comparable ratio to what the other population is getting? That's
But
part of competition, or even capitalistic competition is comparison, right?
yeah, but when you I coach football, and I coach football at a very high level, and I trotted a football team out on the playing field one year against another team in the same Division One era. They beat us 84-13. I don't care what we could have done. I don't care how smart we were, how skilled we were in planning, how our strategy was. They were better. They had years and years of tradition. They were better, and they were going to beat us. It's just a matter of how much. And if they'd have wanted to, they could have beat us 150. And I'm just telling you, and there was nothing we could do about it. There was nothing. But when we got out there, our goal was to absolutely fight and scrap and fight and scrap. Today, you look at those two. Now, the reverse hadn't changed all that much, but the team I was on has caught up a lot because they continue to fight and struggle. And the other one has lagged a little bit, but they're getting about to where they're competing. But the team I was on will never be like that team because that team had years and years and years and years and years and years a head start.
Right.
So, talking about wealth in America, railroad barons, oil barons, insurance barons, companies. I mean, you go down the list. You're not going to be able to create those things that were created then.
Right. Like the people who own steel, they're going to continue to own steel.
I mean, it's just, I'm sorry, those families that did those things, I mean, there's no way you can compare that wealth to what you can create. And you can't create a steel mill anymore. You can't create the Union Pacific Railroad, and you just can't do those things anymore.
Right.
So what do? You strive to run them.
Okay.
You strive to become the CEO of the Union Pacific or the CEO of the bank, or you create your own firm. That you create your own company that serves them. And you can reach their equal by becoming very necessary for them because you give them a service that they can't do without.
You really think we could be the equal somebody who had generation upon generation upon generation? Well, that part I'm having a hard time grasping.
I don't care about being their equal. I don't really care about being. I don't want to be because some of them are pretty slovenly, lousy people.
Yeah, I'm just talking about
I want to provide, if I provide a service, if I provide a product, if I provide something that they need and they can't do without, then they become subservient to me, regardless of how much money they got. I don't care how much wealth they got. But if I got something you have to have,
right,
or you need, then then I become more valuable to you than
I
you
can
to
concede
yourself.
that. I can concede that. Okay, that's a that's a fair position. Um, and I'm very much. I mean, I like the rhetoric of John Hope Bryant. Is his name John? Is it his name John Hope Bryant? Let me see. Um, is it John? I always mistake his name. It's not Bryant. John. I think his middle name is Hope, though. Yeah, it is John Hope Bryant, CEO of Operation Hope. He has a similar rhetoric as what you're talking about. Very much a promoter of that. That he talks about that economic wealth is in your credit score and in home ownership. That if you can get to that point there, you've reached a certain level of wealth in America that most people have a hard time achieving, no matter what color you are. So I understand that. I understand that from that perspective. That 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 the things that are how do I put this? There's nothing stopping African Americans from being successful, especially in the state of economy. I don't believe so. Um, again, that's a conversation I have one on one. The question really is what are the forces out there and what is the market doing as it relates to the forces that are out there? I still think that's a relevant conversation, regardless of self-determination concepts. Yeah, I had another comment or point to it, but I think I'm going to sit back on it a little bit.
I know. Hey, look, Larry, this conversation is not an easy one. This conversation is tough, and
Yeah.
here's my deal. I'm 75 years old. I'm gonna be dead here. And what did he say? He gave us 77 times 7 or 7. I'm 77 is the average lifespan. So I may have 2 more years, or I may have 10 more years. Okay.
Right.
And then what do they say about old people? You lose your filter. When you get a little older, you can say things now that maybe you can't say.
Go, look, go for it, Clarence. It'll only boost it'll boost my ratings. Go for it. Say exactly what's on your head. Right.
So you know the thing about it is, and that's the whole point here is that not only can I say things that make, but I live some things that are just absolutely nuts. Man, I'm standing over the Danube River in Vienna, Austria. And I'm looking down at that river and I'm thinking Chopin, Schubert, Mozart, Handel, all the great musicians that probably stood on and looked and then I said, you know what? I'm gonna pee in this river. So I peed in the Danube River in Vienna, Austria. And I thought, how about that? Little boy from Madill, Oklahoma, born in Jim Crow under severe segregation, and I'm peeing in the Danube River. I thought, ah, dang it. What a world. What an amazing, absolute, crazy, nutty world.
What?
And I got on this great big airplane and flew home. And it's like, wow.
Yeah. Here's what I remember. When I talk to my son, because I got a 12-year-old son, and I've got to pass down legacy to him. I've got to pass down whatever I'm gonna put all that I can in him to make him the best man he could be, not only for himself but for my legacy. A little bit of nepotism there. When I talk with him, and I'm very much a competitive person. I own businesses. I've owned real estate. Like I've had my own set of journey here that that I don't speak about too much publicly. But I teach my kids to be not just competitive but savage, competitive. Like I believe in that. Like there's no excuses for him. I'm like you guys are going to outdo the competition just because you know me. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Like the average person doesn't have a chance because
okay.
Because I'm making you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I'm making you work out when you don't work out, because I'm teaching you certain things that the average person not teaching their kids. Like you're already ahead of the average person, black or white. So they're already set. But I've been ingrained them anyways. The conversation that I have with my son, that I will continue to have with my son, is get everything out of this world that you're supposed to get out of it competitively. Do not settle. And that comes from a rhetoric of not, it's comparison, but it's not comparison. It is the idea that you deserve just as much as anybody does, no matter what the race is. And there's a system in place to make you complacent with only getting enough so long as it represents a certain level of success. Does that make sense? So my rhetoric is self-deterministic, but it is also in comparison. You deserve just as much as the white man, kind of rhetoric, without comparing himself to the white man.
How about more?
More than that. I agree. You deserve to be dominant.
How about more? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But the reality,
it's to me, it's what do you want? Because that's what counts. What do you want? Now, I have 3 kids, 3. All 3 graduated from private colleges. My son went to West Point. I mean, it's what do you want? And the sky is the limit. Okay. Now, what a lot of us do is that, and it's just something I've done a lot of thinking about, because like you, in my journey, there was those times when I'm moving along here and I reach this certain level and it becomes like this, and I don't move, 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 and I wonder, well, maybe I could be moving there if I was this or that. Maybe if I was the owner's son, I could move a lot faster. But I'm not the owner's son, right? And my dad didn't work for the company for 25 or 35 or 45 years before I joined the company, like the other guy did. And all of a sudden he's moving on and I'm stuck here. There are all kinds of reasons. There's nepotism, there's ownership, there's all those things that are there. So what you do is say, okay, so I'm stuck here. And I was stuck. I was stuck at a place that I was not going to move from if I'd have stayed there. Okay. So you know what I did? Left the company.
Right.
I said, I'm out. I'm gone. Bye. I left. A year later, they called me back, promoted me, moved me into the executive position because I had something they needed. So if I provide you with a skill that you can't get anywhere else, you're willing to pay for it. Now, that's a skill or a product or something, but you can't just show up and expect to move into the office next door to the CEO unless you bring something to the table. What are you bringing to the table? Are you indispensable? Do you bring something to the table that they need? That's what you have to do.
I agree. I struggle a little bit. On a one-on-one level, I'm talking exactly like you're talking. Like, if you don't like my money, I'll go somewhere and spend my money. If you don't like my talent, I'll go somewhere else and find a way to maximize my talent. I 100% agree with your rhetoric. I think there is a point in my narrative, and I'm thinking about it as I talk to my son, where I'm going to tell him that the world is not going to want you to have this. And what do you do then?
Why would you say that? Where in the world? Where in the world is somebody saying, I don't want you to have that?
I know that. I think that is ingrained in talk about psychology. I think that is ingrained in the overall psychology of most African Americans. And
we got to get rid of, man.
That's
agree. What we got to get rid of. That's the thing. We got to get rid of that.
But can you control that?
Because who gives a holy hot dog about what somebody else thinks? I agree. Care. Because you know what? Hey, this is much my country as it is anybody's. This is my country. This is not your country. And I mean, I know in our history classes, throughout our history classes, and they brag about Washington and Jefferson, and they blow the horn about Paul Revere, and I know all those things that were done, but they were done. That's over. What they don't tell you is that every step that they took then, we were right there. We were right there helping build this country. We were side by side. Now, we, unfortunately, did not reap the rewards that we should have. but that's then. Can't do anything about it. This is now. And we have to get the mindset in our minds that this is our country. This is my country. That I own a part of this land. I own a part of this earth. I own it. You know what? Yeah, okay. So I got to work my ass off. I got to work hard, to maybe get my due, but I'm going to do it. And as a whole group of people, we've done so many great things. And you know that. I can go through a list of great things that we've done in this country and all the great accomplishments we've had. But for the mass of people, for the mass of our people, Larry, they don't seem to believe it. They believe something different. And I don't know what it is. But by God, Jake, if I believe this is my country and I own as much a part of it as I am, and I'm teaching in Proviso High School in Chicago, Illinois, you know what I'm telling my students? Get out there and fight like junkyard dogs. Learn everything you can. And I'm going to be as hard on you as anybody you've ever seen. Mrs. Washington was when I was in the second grade. And she taught the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth grade. She says, let me tell you something. I don't care what's outside that door. When you leave here, you're going to read. When you leave here, you're going to understand. When you leave here, you're going to be the best student you can be, because I am not going to take second. I want it to be first. And that's what's missing. You want to be first. You want to be that. You want back in the 1930s and 40s, Booker T. Washington High School in Philadelphia, they defeated in all the major tests in that area, all the other schools, the all-black school did. They defeated them all in all the major tests and academic testing. They were the best. Can we be the best? There's no reason that Grambling can't be the best football team in America.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's no disagreement in the rhetoric of self-determination, how we can overcome our obstacles just by grit. I get it. When you're talking to the larger audience, and when we look at the statistics, if
you froze.
Sorry, did you hear the last part?
Yeah, you said statistics, but you froze on me there, and that's all I got.
When you look at you know, and I'm not a statistician. I can tell you in general, you probably have way more knowledge.
We're just talking. Hey, this is a conversation.
It's a little exploratory conversation. I like that. It really is exploratory. If the data implies that there is a disparity, then how do we explain the phenomena? Larry. Is it because we're lazy?
No, Larry. Look, Larry, they're graduating people from high school at least at an 8th grade level. How are you going to make it in today's high-tech AI world reading at an 8th grade level?
Yes. Well, why?
In Baltimore, Larry, out of the 13 schools there, only one of them met standards. One.
So how do you explain the phenomena is the question.
I don't know if you can explain the phenomenon, but to me, it seems like people gave up. Gave up. Okay. So let me join the teachers union. Let me get my $75,000, $80,000 a year. Let me get the money from the government to bring computers into school. But let's not do anything. And then the government is at fault too, because they pass these rules that you can't get rid of kids, or you only get paid by the number of kids you have in school, not by the quality that you put out, but you have to have so many students. So in the 180-day school year, if you got 1,000 kids that are enrolled in your school, then you get so much money, even though 40% of them only show up a third of the time. They're still on your rolls.
So
right?
policy is one of the reasons.
Oh my God. Yes. There's no child left behind. The disciplinary rules that Obama made that makes you, if I'm in a classroom and I'm the teacher, and I did, and I was, and I had students in my classroom who were eager to learn. They wanted to know what I knew. They wanted to know and they understand. Then I had those kids in the classroom who were mediocre. They didn't really care about history, but they were good kids. But then I had a group of kids in my classroom that were disruptive. It wasn't there to learn. They were just there. And I said, no, I don't want you in my classroom if you're not here to at least get something out of it. We have so many kids in school these days that are there just to be disruptive. And they prevent those. The highly educated kid is going to make it anyway.
Right.
It's those ones that are hanging on to the best group, that are hanging on to that learning group, and the ones that are trying to escape that bad group.
Okay.
That we're losing.
Is policy the only thing that influences that? This is you know where I'm going with this, right?
Well, we've been on this thing for an hour, man.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me say this. Let me say this in this feed here. I know we've been talking about this, but this has been such an interesting thing here, especially multi-generational. One of the things I'll say very much openly is I honor you as a young Black man listening to. I'm probably in my middle. I'm probably in the middle of my stage, and listening to the wisdom and the rhetoric of someone who has lived. And not just lived a mediocre life, but lived a life of excellence, where he has not only pursued his dreams, but he has achieved his dreams, and is seen the fruit of his labor, even through his own generation. Like, I honor and respect that from this conversation, and it is such a blessed experience just to be able to talk to you and for you to entertain this conversation with me. Obviously, we're bantering back a little bit back and forth. I'm not in complete disagreement with anything that you're talking about. I think that it's two different perspectives. There's two different looks at it. Is my only stipulation to it.
And the reason for me writing my book, Make Your Life Worth It. Make Your Life Worth It. It's a memoir by Clarence Hudson. You can promote it for me if you want to. It's going to be released the September 1st.
Yes.
On Amazon.
Yes. Have we been here an hour?
Yes, we have.
Okay, Mr. Hudson, I'm not going to eat any more of your time. This has been wonderful. Maybe we could do part 2 that's a little bit more time sensitive.
After my book's released, maybe you can have him back on. We'll talk more about
it. So you haven't released the book. It's about to be released.
It's going to be released here in the next 2 weeks. Yes.
I will definitely promote it and add it to my page, as well as some other individuals that I'm adding. So as I am doing these interviews, your information will be on the bottom of it. How can people reach out to you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. What is it? I don't know. Clarence Hudson. Just put me in. If you put Clarence Hudson Des Moines, Iowa into the Google search, you can find me.
Okay, Mr. Hudson, I'm going to have another conversation with you, a part 2 to this that's more specific to my questions, and we'll do it after your book release. It'll definitely we'll cap it off at 30. But the goal is for this to be like 15 to 30 minutes. But sometimes we get lost in the sauce. There's a lot of sauce. There's a lot of sauce here. So
it's like in my Trump Baptist church when the preacher got rolling and we were supposed to be out at 1. It was 3 o'clock before we knew it.
Right. So I appreciate your patience and really just your kindness for just sitting on this platform with me and entertaining this young foolish young man on this end here. I'm still wet behind my ears here, but it's good to hear your wisdom and rhetoric and your experience, and definitely look forward to reading your book. So I'll definitely keep my ears tuned to the ground when it comes out, and definitely have no problem promoting it, man. I love this stuff. So this is good energy, and let's pass on the positive energy, no doubt. So nice to meet you, my brother. We'll end the podcast with that. You guys have a great day.
Yes, sir. Bye.